Now tell me, what is life about? And where are you going? Who are you? What's your identity? Where are we going in terms of time, and where will it lead us to? Can we change those times? And what would happen if we did? These are concepts that Another Eden will explore. And if you know anything about the producers, the storytellers behind this game, then you know that you're definitely going to be in for a very, very deep, imaginary and creative experience. So welcome to Another Eden.
A person I haven't even met. A song I haven't even heard. A wind I haven't even felt. An encounter with another me who I do not know. Seeing my unseen dream. Once again. On to an adventure beyond time and space.
Okay, so I don't know how you would feel about that opening, because let me tell you, when I first saw that opening, I thought it was awful. I really didn't like it. However, upon playing the game and going back to it, it actually has opened up a lot of new meaning. So this is a really complicated situation, because the more I'm playing the game, the more I'm getting involved into the story and what these lines really mean. And that's special. Now, before I go on any further, let me say, when I saw the gameplay of the game, when I saw that kind of fighting system, like that kind of Final Fantasy style system from the old days, I must say I was severely put off, and I thought I should not give this game a time of day. These guys, the guys behind it, are just a sellout. They're just selling this out. They're just trying to make some cash on the mobile while going to the old school way, because that's all they know. Now, it seems that in some respects I'm pretty wrong. Now, if the names Masato Kato and Yasunori Mitsuda, if they don't ring a bell, let me tell you. These two, one, the first being the writer and the second the composer, are behind my favourite games of all time. Now, these are Xenogears and Chrono Trigger. I would like to add Final Fantasy VI, but they're not involved. Now, let me just tell you that these guys... This story of Xenogears is epic. There has never ever been a story that has ever touched me so much. Whilst Chrono Trigger, I played it so many years after the release, and I was honestly so surprised to find how amazing the game was, despite the graphics being like, you know, it's going like, you know, the graphics nowadays, they're nothing compared to what they were. Yet I went through Chrono Trigger 3 times, and I went through Xenogears 4 times, and I've never enjoyed games so much. I've never been so involved with the story and the gameplay together. And with current mobile games, they've lost that. It's only literally, if you're lucky, you'll get good gameplay with no story, and if you're unlucky, you get okay gameplay with bad story. There's hardly any gacha game anyone is going to play for the story. You don't really play these games for the story. I don't know anyone who's played a gacha game where the story has been the main focus and people have been playing the game just to know more about the story. In fact, it more like seems the update, they just make up the story to keep you going so that you can just keep going further and further and developing your heroes because you're paying good money for it. So And this is not the game I wanted it to be. So I really wanted to put down another Eden and get rid of it. However, having played the game, shockingly, there's just so much story. In fact, it is just like buying a game like on the, I don't know, on the, maybe on Nintendo DS, or buying a Switch game. It's like buying a full style like RPG game and going, and you start off in the village and you can spend like an hour just talking to all the villagers and going through, or you can just try and get to the fighting, which I expected. I thought I could get to the fighting quick and do rerolls. I played it from the view of a gacha game. I didn't play it from the view that these guys who made the game, these masters, really wanted to allow people on the mobile to have a real gaming experience. The experience of the real story combined with feeling the game and getting to know your hero. However, I can't say whether you'll really get to know your hero. However, having played it so far, I can see it's going in a very interesting direction. Yet, I can also say at the same time, a lot of people who are used to playing mobile games, I have this feeling that a lot of people are gonna be so upset with this game. I can see that a lot of people, maybe after 30 minutes, maybe after an hour, they're just going to be bored. They're just going to be so bored. And I can understand that, because the dopamine rush of pulling for a new hero, this feeling, you don't really get it in this game. And you get the feeling this game is not really aimed at that. However, I don't know where the power creep in this game lies, and I don't know when it can get to the gacha area, where I've been in the gacha area, and I must say I calculated a 2% chance of the 5-star unit, and it's probably around 10% area for the 4-star unit, and I made 2 pulls, and yeah, I didn't do so well. And yeah, and re-rolling in this game probably about 30 minutes ish, and is it worth re-rolling? There's something about the game where I want that as the story comes first, the question is how much of the game itself is going to get in the way of getting to the next part of the story. So far I've been going through the quests and nothing has stopped me. Like, I haven't grinded much, I'm just going through and just doing some fighting, then getting to the next area. However, my view on the fighting is that there's something very simple and very basic about it, even childlike, and honestly speaking, the fighting itself, it's unusual. It's just too simple. It's so simple that the fighting, I mean, if you're buying heroes just to do that fighting, then it doesn't seem that special. I mean, in Chrono Trigger you could even combo the fighting, and even in Final Fantasy VI there were very interesting items or whatever, and I'm sure there'll be some interesting ways of fighting in another Eden, and I'm sure the developers must be thinking about that, because they have to consider that the mobile audience is going to be putting a lot of money into heroes, and those heroes, they're going to need them to play and fight well. But another situation in this game, and an interesting one, is that this game really seems to be focused on one player. And whereas most games these days are going in the opposite direction completely. And again, I think this is really interesting. And there's some resemblance in this, in what this game is, compared to Nintendo when they brought Mario out for the mobile. For Nintendo, Mario was a big flop. But honestly, I bought Mario and it was a nice game to play. It's just that Nintendo didn't make the amount of money they wanted. They thought they could make as much money probably as other companies. So they bought out Fire Emblem and put this gacha system in, and now Fire Emblem it's made a bomb. It's made so much cash. It's done so well. Am I really allowed to say the B word? Probably not. This YouTube video is going to be taken down. What? That is so unfair. Okay, I think I'll cover that. Anyway, with regard to this game, it's going to be ported over to the Nintendo Switch apparently, so that's going to be interesting, because I really do expect this game to be on a console, and I really just like this way of playing, and I just wasn't expecting it. That's the thing. I wasn't expecting a deep story. I wasn't expecting a game where I will play for the story. In fact, I thought playing on mobile games meant that you're kind of ditching the story for this gambling dopamine feeling. And now it's like these guys are like the gods of the world, like the developers. They're just trying to bring. I really feel like they're doing a justice to society. They're trying to bring the computer games. They're trying to remind people, or even introduce them to a world where the story integrated with the gameplay is what a true game is about. And although gameplay is great, and there are games with great gameplay, but when you have to rely on or focus on pulling heroes, and although all games generally say, yeah, you don't have to focus on pulling heroes, and there are certain games where you don't, and the MOBA games like Arena of Valor, certainly you don't. But when I'm playing Langrisser M, yeah, sure, I don't have to pull, but there is a feeling that I want to pull. And that urge keeps increasing. And that kind of urge, like in the people playing Fate Grand Order or Epic 7 or whatever, that urge to want to pull, this is taking something away. It really is taking something away from who we are. And however, if the gameplay can live up to it, then okay, pay something to keep going and have interesting gameplay. Okay, fine. But when the gameplay kind of sucks, then that's, and I shouldn't really say sucks, but Dragalia Lost is a great example of pretty lackluster gameplay. I mean, yeah, it's nice pressing hack and slash button, and you can increase some stats, and when you press hack and slash button or do some maneuvers, do some combos or whatever, you might feel like you have some power over the game or whatever, and the gameplay's that interesting, but deep down, the storyline is really awful as far as I'm concerned. The plot line, it doesn't go into personalities, it goes into nothing deep at all. A game that should be focused on a 5-year-old in terms of the game, in terms of the storyline, and with regard to just with regard to the art, I mean, the art is nice. I get that, and I can see why people feel they want to collect the heroes. Okay, so that bit aside, that's nice, but the effort and energy and money and time or whatever you have to put in if you want to get all the heroes is painful enough, and the dupes, and I think these, and it's not just that, you don't just get heroes, you get cards, and the equipment as dragons, and those cards, those whimprints, it's really trollish. So when you have this game, another Eden, there's and you're just getting involved in the story, I think for many mobile gamers, they're just going to be completely lost. They're not going to know where they are. And I think a lot of gamers are going to completely dump this game and think, this is awful, this is not the kind of game I want, I'm not getting my quick dopamine high, so forget it. But let me tell you, if you forget this game, and if you leave this game and only focus on the gacha games, you'll probably be losing something. You'll probably be missing something from your life, from who you are, or of course just pick up a book or go into books. But these days no one goes into books. Why are people playing games? Because they don't want to read books. No one gets anything from books, although books are the source and they bring the great creativity. Even saying the word book is just like, it's damnation, isn't it? So and movies, okay, no, who's going to watch a 2-hour movie? We play games for hours. And watching a series, a lot of television series, they just don't give you what a game gives you. So I think these guys are really onto something. Yasunori Mitsuda, he has worked with Xenogears, and I know this story is gonna, I know this game story, see what I mean? This game is gonna go into a great direction, and despite whatever the fighting is like and what it turns into, I think playing the game to get to know the story and will make you really like the heroes in the game. It will really let you like the main character and the story, and let me tell you about the story actually, just briefly. Okay, let's just say the protagonist of this game is a male character, but I expected him to be a female. Either way, the protagonist of the game is quite an interesting person, and but the general point is he has to save his sister. I know it doesn't sound very deep, however, the journey is looking really deep, and the way that you're going through time travel, and it seems you can also go to the past. I've only gone to the future at the moment. This time traveling is really interesting, and let me tell you, the music is really on another level. And so let me tell you, if you ever have played Chrono Trigger and you've ever played Xenogears, I think you have to give this game a go, and you have to bring yourself back and remind yourself, or just play this game as maybe a thank you to the creators, and just give a tiny bit of money to pull a character just to say thank you. That's as far as I think I'm gonna go. But and I do think though that these guys have got it right. I think they're far more ethical. I can see this game as being much more ethical than these other gacha games. However, one might say every gacha game is unethical, which I can also say it is. But let me tell you, if they didn't release this game as a gacha game, if they released this game, you just pay full right for the game and you just play through it, would it do well on the phone? Probably not. Probably not. So I think they have kind of tailored it at a more ethical level for their audience. I can't prove that, and only in the future will we know. Or you can just ask people in Japan who have gone through it. I'll be in Japan in a few weeks' time, so I will ask some people. But that's a few weeks. By that time, if you're deep into it, you're deep into it. I don't see this game as being one where you have to compete with people and you're in a big rush to get things before everyone else. So I think that's a good thing. So I think you can pick this game up whenever you want. And the graphics are really interesting. However, when I first played it, I didn't like the graphics. I didn't like the way the heroes moved. And then after maybe an hour, I really did like it, and I got used to it, and I got into that. So it's interesting that at the beginning I feel it's so alien, and then the more I get into it, the more I like it. So please, I reckon if you really want to get involved in this, I'd say you might have to give this game about 5 to 10 hours and try it out first. And let me tell you, the music is really interesting. And let's say you haven't got time to do that, then maybe set aside 30 minutes to an hour each day and just play it for the story, because there's no rush to play the game. And because there's no rush to play the game, please don't think that's an idea to put the game down, because we honestly do need story. We need story to our life. We need the story. We need... I do think as humans, we're losing our identity to all these kinds of games. We're just playing games, maybe getting so involved that let's say we play a game, we play very late, and then we have to wake up very early because we need to get dailies or do the hourly things or whatever, and get all these extra things. And I think it's ripping something from who we are. It's ripping a part of our personality. It's causing us to live our life for the game and not live our own lives, and that is really serious. It's really serious, and no matter how much anyone disagrees with what I say, and of course there are people who can handle that and they can just do it without thinking. But if you don't want to think about it, it's probably better not to live in that way and just play the game differently. But when even every time I start a new game and I see how quick people can level up, I can see people are hardly sleeping, they're pumping so much cash into the game. When I see how high, when I look at Langrisser M and I look at the amount of time I put in, and I look at my experience in the game, which is pretty good because I already know the game, and then I can see people so much above me in their level, in their rankings and other things. When I think of the energy they must have put in to keep going that high, that is scary. That is like a loss of identity. That is, people are just killing themselves just to keep pushing up in a game. Where is the enjoyment in that? Tell me where's the enjoyment in that? And not just that, playing, some people are not just playing one gacha game, they're playing two, and some are playing three, and they're combining them and combining their times. How can you live life? And let's say someone has a job and they're doing it, or maybe they're doing it for their job. Even if you're doing it for your job, how many hours do you have to pump in to do that? That's going to be more than a 9-to-5 job. And once you do that, do you really enjoy it? Yeah, sure, you're going to get your dopamine rushes, but what are you going to lose in terms of your personality? So let me tell you, if you want to start getting your personality back, yeah, alright, dump every game, but there's no gamer who's going to dump their games. So please consider really feeling the story and reminding yourself what constitutes a game that touches your heart deeply and gives you something to remember. Please consider trying out Another Eden. And I'm telling you this, I'm not sponsored. I don't think I'll ever be sponsored for these kinds of things, because I'm prepared to say anything controversial either way. So yeah, give it a go. I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to probably hope not, play for about 30 minutes a day and just keep going with it slowly and getting to know what the story is about more deeply. And then in the future, maybe in a month or two, maybe I'll give the game another review. So please enjoy. Thank you very much. This is Club Wisdom 8. Please like and subscribe if there's anything useful in what I've said. If there's nothing useful, then